Hello, I'm so happy you are here. I am going to be making some sourdough dog treats today. It's actually sourdough discard dog treats. Recently, I got really excited about sourdough. I had never done anything with it in the past. I got curious about having a starter, and through some trial and error, I finally got it going, and I've been making a lot of sourdough bread. And as a result, I've had a lot of sourdough discard. And so I was looking for different recipes that I could use my discard with so that it wouldn't go to waste. And this is something that my dogs have absolutely been loving, to the point where anytime we are making sourdough waffles, which is another discard recipe that I found, or making bread, they come running because they can smell the discard. And actually, as I make these treats, I imagine that they are going to show up. So forgive me in advance if you see little critters running around, or if you hear barking or woofing or little chains rattling, because they absolutely love these treats. Love these treats. So I am going to put my hair up because I am going to be working with food, and while it's dog treats, I don't know, I still feel like I should have my hair up for this. So we'll get down to business. And I am going to probably have my glasses on for at least part of the time, so forgive me if there's a little bit of glare with the lights in my glasses, because I can't really see the recipe if, and I don't have it committed to memory quite yet. I've made these 3 times now, and seriously, we can't keep them in the house. The trick that we have found is we make a big batch and then we will freeze them. And my dogs will even eat them frozen right out of the freezer. So because they do not have any preservatives in them, they actually will go bad after about a week. So definitely to be used or frozen, I would say within a week. And so I am going to have this recipe in the description box for you. I will also link to the person who has the recipe out there online so that she gets full credit for the recipe. I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but I will link all of that in my description box so you can go and check out the original if that is of interest to you. But we're going to be using 2 large eggs, 2/3 cup or 180 grams of sourdough discard, 2/3 cup or 160 grams of pumpkin or sweet potato puree, 1/4 cup or 64 grams of natural creamy peanut butter, preferably with no salt and no sugar. Your dogs don't need the sugar especially, but even the salt. Try and keep them healthy here. Then we're going to need a cup of rolled quick cooking oats. That's equivalent to about 90 grams of rolled oats, and then 1.5 to 2 cups of whole wheat flour. So I am going to go ahead and get these ingredients measured out. If you don't have a food scale, I will be using my food scale today. I got this on Amazon for like $11. I was really surprised at how inexpensive it was. I never had one before I started on my sourdough journey, but I found it very helpful. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. The cup measurements will work just fine. But I'll go ahead and get these measured out, and we'll get to making our recipe here for the pups. Okay, so I'm going to start out with my sourdough discard. I need 180 grams of this, and it is rather sticky. I don't know if you can see how it is here. Mine, I think, is probably a little on the thick side because I had been pouring off that liquid that was forming on the top. I might have too much here. Yeah, I've got a little too much here, so we're going to take some of this out. We're only looking for 180 grams. That's 192, or 191, excuse me. And again, if you don't have a scale, you can certainly use your cup measures. And this would be 2/3 cup that you're looking for right here. And I tend to be a little bit of a perfectionist, so of course I'm trying to get it right to 180, but I'm sure if you're off by a gram, it's not going to be a big deal. There we go. So I've got that to 180. And then I'm going to press this button again to tear it out. So that's just going to bring it back to 0. So it's taking the weight of everything that I have, my bowl and my starter, into account. And I'm back at 0, so I can measure out my pumpkin. Now you can also use sweet potato if that's preferred. I'm using my Bowl and Basket pumpkin puree. This is just the ShopRite brand. Now I usually will multiply this batch. This is a giant can, right? This is 29 ounces or 822 grams. So this will actually make 5 times this recipe. So just to keep it simple, I'm going to do a single regular size recipe, but I will be using the rest of this up because I like to make my dog biscuits in batches. So again, 2/3 cup of this as well. This is 160 grams though. It weighs differently in this volume. So that's where the scale sometimes comes in handy, or not necessarily, I guess if it's the equivalent, if they've already kind of figured out what, oops. Oh yeah, 160. If they've already figured out what 160 measures, I think you can probably trust the cup measurements. Got 162. There we go. There's 160. We need 1/4 cup or 64 grams of the natural peanut butter. Now, my natural peanut butter, it is 100% peanuts, I believe, with nothing added. Oh, I apologize. There is sea salt in this. Preferably, this would be no sugar and no salt, but there is a little bit of salt in this. So if you can find it without salt, that's going to be a better option. But my peanut butter also definitely separates, so I'm going to have to stir this up before I start scooping it out. So if you're not familiar with natural peanut butter, it does tend to separate. This is just the peanut oil that is naturally in the peanut butter. I know it looks kind of icky, but this is normal. So I just stir it up real well before I measure it out. You don't want to be taking this off the top, right? You want to make sure that it's nice and mixed together before you actually use it. Now in my pantry, I tend to flip my peanut butter, my natural peanut butter, upside down. And then after a few days, when I think of it, if I notice it in the pantry, I'll flip it right side up again. And I just alternate that just to kind of keep it moving. Because I've had in the past natural peanut butter, if I let it sit too long, the oil completely separated from the peanut butter and I couldn't get it mixed back together again. It was like all oil on the top and then solid like peanut pulp, I guess, for lack of a better term, on the bottom. So I definitely recommend, if you don't use your peanut butter very often, to just as you see it in the pantry, flip it right side up or upside down and just alternate like that. And I found that that works really well for me. And you can see it's starting to come back together here. I do find that the natural peanut butter is more liquidy than my regular peanut butters that I buy at the store. So it's definitely going to have a slightly different consistency to it. So I wouldn't expect it to be exactly like your Skippy or your Jif that you might be more familiar with. Okay, so this is doing well. I can bring my scale back over here. And I'm going to let it go to 0 here. And I want 64 grams of the peanut butter. I'm not sure how I'm going to do here with this knife, but I might grab my spoon that I was using before with my pumpkin to help me scrape it off here. So we're just going to get all of our wet ingredients in here. And once we have all of our wet ingredients combined, we will be adding in the oats. Okay, and I'm going slow with this largely because once I put it in, I'm not going to be able to get it back out again. And I don't want to go way overboard with my peanut butter here. I'm aiming for 64 grams. I'm not sure if you can see where I'm at right now, but I'm almost to 60. There's 61. Need just a little bit more here. Okay, we're a little teeny bit over, but I'm not going to worry about it. My dogs love peanut butter, so they will be quite all right with that. Okay, so I'm just going to blend all of this together. And I need 2 eggs. So we'll go ahead and get these ready. And we'll get all of this mixed in. Now, if you have a standing mixer, you can do this in the stand mixer. I didn't have one for the longest time. I actually just got one for Christmas. So I thought about doing this with the stand mixer, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it by hand just in case some of my viewers don't have stand mixers, because mine was a long time in coming, you guys, and I know that they can be very expensive. So rest assured, if you do have one, you can absolutely throw all of this into the stand mixer and mix it up that way. But if you don't, you can do it by hand just like I'm doing here. Okay, now that I've got all of the wet ingredients mixed together, it is time to add in the rolled oats. All right, so we're gonna need 1 cup or about 90 grams of oats. I'm gonna grab my Kirkland brand. You can use whatever brand you have. Bigger rolled oats is fine. Get my scale set to 0, and I want 90 grams. This is a 1/3 cup, so it should require 3 of these. If we're getting it to a cup, we'll see where it goes here. That was 71. Okay, 90. So for me, it's just shy of a cup of rolled oats, but it's not going to hurt anything if it's a full cup. I'm going to stir these together. So we're just going to let that sit for about 30 minutes with the rolled oats and let them absorb some of the moisture, and then we'll be ready to put the flour in. Okay, so this is ready now. It's been sitting for about 30 minutes and we're ready to add our flour. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 cups, which is about 180 grams. Okay, and that's about 2 grams over, but not a big deal because we're gonna probably be adding a little bit more to this in a little bit. And once it gets to this point, I'm going to go ahead and get my hands in there just to finish it up. We'll use a little bit more flour on here for dusting, and we'll roll this out to about 1/4 inch. Sorry for all the background noise. This is a living, active house with lots of people in it, so. And now you could totally use cute little cookie cutters. I've done that in the past, or what I like the most because it's super easy is just a pizza cutter or a knife if you don't have a pizza cutter. Okay, and so now we're going to have them on a parchment lined baking sheet, and this is going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes on 350 degrees Fahrenheit. That'll create a chewy cookie. If you want them a little crisper, you'd want to bake them for 30 minutes. Here's what it looks like when they're out of the oven. So I'm going to put this on a cooling rack, and then they will be ready to treat. So I tend to let mine bake for about 25 minutes. I find with my oven and the way that I like the treats for my dogs, that seems to be the right level of doneness. But I recommend starting with 20 minutes and checking them to see how they are. And you can always bake them a little bit longer if that suits your needs. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. I did want to just remind you, you definitely want to make sure that you feed your dogs the treats within a week, or really highly recommend freezing them. I put ours in little freezer bags. You can actually even just write the date on them if you want to keep track. They don't last that long in my house. Usually they're gone within a month, and yeah, and I make a lot. So while I showed you my recipe with just the single batch, I actually did 5 times that. So off camera, I was doing a whole bunch of other batches while I was waiting for the oats to absorb that liquid. But so I have 6 bags just like this one that can go into my freezer now, and my pups are going to enjoy them for a long time. But I have a little bit of fun clippage here that I could share as Rich was helping me pull some of these treats out of the oven, and the dogs had definitely come calling, and we got to give them a little bit of a treat while we were at it. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for those clips with the pups. And if this is a recipe that you end up trying, I would love to hear about it. Let me know what your results were. And drop me a note in the comments and let me know if you'd like me to do a video on the sourdough bread that I've been making and or on the starter. I can share with you my experience in having started a sourdough starter very recently. I know a lot of the people that I saw online when I was trying to figure it out, their starters are years and years old. Some of them are like 30+ years old, right? But they've definitely had theirs for a while. So if you want to get the DL from a brand newbie when it comes to sourdough starter, let me know and I'll be happy to do a video on that as well. But until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thanks for coming over. Bye. It's Dada getting all of the treats on the, oh, the treats are on the cooling rack. The treats are on the cooling rack. What do you think? Mama make puppy cookies? Did Mama make puppy cookies? Oh, they're so yummy. You want to give him one? Is it hot? That's so nice. Oh, they're so yummy.
You jump up. I'm
I'm surprised too. Are they good?
One more?
One more? Hot out of the oven. Oh, that's so nice, Sam. Good puppies. Getting the next batch ready. It's too bad you guys don't like these. I'm gonna have a lot. Puppy cookies, huh?